Valley Sports Ohio, the heart of the fan.
For the final time on the series, the Cincinnati Reds, the Washington Nationals meet at Nationals Park, and the series is on the line in a 7-inning affair. Welcome on back to Reds baseball. It's 2 for the price of 1 today. John Sadak alongside Cincinnati's own and Chris Welsh. And what a pitching matchup we have in this nightcap. Sonny Gray has been on in the month of May, coming off a quality start.
Yeah, don't you love games like this, though, when you have a marquee matchup? A couple of guys who, at their time when they were eligible to be drafted out of college, were maybe some of the top prospects in the entire country. Steven Strasburg was taken number 1 back in 2009. Then you had Sonny Gray taken in the first round out of Vanderbilt. But both of them really have carved out a great niche in Major League Baseball by throwing a curveball. Now, Strasburg, you're thinking, oh, he throws 100 miles an hour, right? Not really so much. He's a breaking ball pitcher nowadays, and he's got a really good one. You're going to notice today when you watch these two pitchers pitch that Strasburg's breaking pitch is going to be much more of a sinking breaking ball. Sonny Gray's going to have one to kind of slide along the horizontal plane a little bit. He's going to bury that down and into left-handers. It'll be fun to watch.
And Sonny Gray will also be batting in the 8th slot in the order. Alex Blandino bats 9th. A little wrinkle for David Bell. First time we have seen this since late 2019. We'll see first pitch in just a bit. Jim Day is on the way with more. Rubber match between the Reds and the Nationals. The Reds 9 brought to you by Rally House. Hey, Eugenio Suarez leads off once again. He's got 3 hits in 2 games as the leadoff man. Jesse Winker had 4 knocks in game 1 today, and there is strike 1 to Suarez, with Steven Strasburg getting the nod.
You know, when you watch Steven Strasburg pitch, I'm sure the Nationals are just happy to have him on the mound. The kind of money that they have invested in him, making only his, 4th start of the season. 2 of those were in April. Then he waited another month and 8 days to make his 3rd start. And here he is, start number 4. Last time out, he was basically unhittable against the Orioles, but he walked 4, struck out 4, only went 5 1/3. So they've got to take him along baby steps.
His numbers from Western and Southern. Misses away. Suarez, a 3rd straight game in the leadoff spot, 3 for 9 with a home run in that leadoff position. Sent in the air. Fairly deep right center field. That's got some carry, and that's gone.
Baby!
Eugenio Suarez. A spark at the start as he goes oppo again. His 11th home run, and the Reds on the board. It's 1-0.
Guy's the best leadoff hitter I've ever seen. This side of Ricky Henderson. Now, how about Suarez, though? We saw him hit a couple of balls in the first game here where he hit some line drives, one to right, one to left center field, stayed down on the ball, staying with this one, staying behind it. Oh, what a great feeling that must be for Suarez.
I did mention to our stats guy, Dave, what are the odds Suarez hits a leadoff home run today?
What kind of odds did he give you?
Actually, very favorable for me.
Doesn't matter now that he's paying.
And Jesse Winker had 4 hits in what was technically the middle game of the series, spread over last night and today. Not a true doubleheader. That one way down and in, clipped Winker. Is he all right? He's got first, but is he walking cleanly here?
That's what they call a lot of bite on the curveball. Actually bit part of his big toe off right here.
Well, you mentioned the walks for Strasburg, and his command was not great, but his stuff was very good. It was moving. He threw 94. He had cruised in the first 4 innings of that game against Baltimore. He threw 43 total pitches, and then things unraveled a bit. He went 5 1/3, just 1 hit. And no Nick Castellanos starting. Tyler Naquin bats in the 3rd position. Castellanos available off the bench. Well, Naquin 10 home runs of his own. Strasburg last pitched 6 days ago. Had come off of right shoulder inflammation. He wound up going 72 pitches in that start, and his manager Davey Martinez said after the game, I don't want to put any limitation on him in terms of pitches or innings. He said he's going to go out there, he's going to get as many outs as he can, hopefully keep us in the game. He trusts his veteran to know his own body.
Well, you can see just by watching it here, the first couple of hitters in this ball game, that this is not the Steven Strasburg that we're used to seeing, nor the one that the Nationals thought they would have after they signed him to a 7-year deal back right after they won the World Series in 2019. I mean, he's topping out now around 92, 91 miles per hour. Still gets some swings and misses on the fastball, but he's primarily a curveball changeup pitcher at this point, at least until he gets his fastball back.
1-2 is served to center. Frozen at first. Stevenson hardly has to move, but it makes the catch. The Nationals defense brought to you by your local Ford dealer, Schwarber. You saw Stevenson, Juan Soto. On the infield, this is where it's a little different. Starlin Castro, Trey Turner, Luis Garcia just called back up from the minors, makes his first start on his latest go-round with the big club. Josh Bell, who made a nice pick on a bouncing throw late as the Nats hung on, and Yan Gomes catches Strasburg. And there's Garcia, who's held in high esteem by the Nationals organization. That's a real young middle infield there. Breaking ball strike to Tyler Stevenson. Strasburg missed all but 2 starts last year. Carpal tunnel neuritis.
Which is somewhat of an unusual injury for a pitcher. You hardly ever hear that about pitchers. You hear, of course, shoulder injuries and Tommy John by far being the most common. He's had that too.
You had talked about it in the open, his heralded status as a #1 pick. I mean, he was known for the heat. He was known for being a triple-digit starter.
With a complimentary breaking pitch that was one of the best in the game, and a changeup that, you know, when you couple that with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, was one of the best in the game. It's what he did for the Nationals in 2019, 18-6. You know, of all the years that he has been in the major leagues, and he came up right away. I think he even made his debut in 2009, the year he was drafted. He's only topped 160 innings 4 times.
Injury has been part of the problem. It's a stigma that he does not like. He eschews it and challenges it whenever possible. But that 19 season, he led the National League in not only wins, which, you know, that is what it is. He led in innings pitched. He threw over 200 innings that year, and he led the league in strikeouts. Swing and a miss. That's a nasty pitch. His first K.
Yeah, that's as good a curveball as you're going to see right there. Tight. It comes out of his hand without a loop on it. You know, Sonny Graves will be the same way. They throw him hard enough, although Strasburg is a few miles per hour slower than Graves. But it goes straight and then drops rather than kind of throwing it up in a little loopy arc.
Shogo Akiyama gets the start with no Castellanos. Double lefty, Akiyama and Naquin in the outfield. Winker, his own mainstay, left side. There's ball 1. See some deep exhales from Strasburg, who looks a little stiff. Doesn't look quite comfortable.
Cleansing breath.
I like that. Do you work at a spa in the off season?
That's a Lamaze term. Had 5 kids. That was no spa.
Winker held on. Fastball misses up. Akiyama was getting some work in between games today, trying to prepare for this nightcap in the start. What do position players, what do hitters do with a long gap between games like this to get ready?
Well, nowadays, you have batting cages under the stadium, so those are crowded just about all the time.
2-1 chop to second. They get the flip for the force, but the Reds get it started with a bang. Sakala, Eugenio Suarez launches his 11th, and the Reds stand on top. Rally House, National scored just 4 runs a game, only 10th best in the National League. Turner, Soto, and Bell. Schwarber, Castro, Garcia gets the start at second base. Yan Gomes, Andrew Stevenson, and Steven Strasburg. Who has that best average? Sonny Gray gets the start for the Reds on the hill, and Gray in the month of May, a .278 earned run average. He comes off a quality start. His numbers on the season from Western and Southern.
Hard to believe with all the good games that Sonny Gray has pitched that he still has a 0 in that win column. He's only had one really bad start. You go back to April the 23rd when he gave up 5 runs in 3 2/3. Other than that, he's been competitive in just about every one, including Sterling in several. Quality start his last time out. That was against Milwaukee. Reds lost that 4-3.
Gets back-to-back strikes, working down and away. See the numbers for Turner, 4th highest average in the league. He's also 4 for 10 against Gray, who hasn't won in 11 straight starts. You have to go back to August 27th of 2020. Check swing, appeal. He did not go.
It looks like that the scouting report that the Reds developed on the Nationals here, especially Trey Turner, has really been good. I mean, he's the guy that gets the offense going, kickstarts it. They're throwing him a lot of soft stuff away. He loves to hit the ball hard. Even though he's a small guy, likes to hit the home runs. But they're just teasing him lower outside.
Loads the hands there, but holds back. The Gray's probably been the most chameleon-like. His approach adapts to what the lineup's weaknesses are. We've seen him against the Dodgers go heavy fastball away and finish them with the breaking ball. We saw him against the Brewers go curveball super heavy. But his biggest issue in that game was walks. He talked about it after the start. He said too many walks. They always come back to bite you at some point. And remember, that was the long delay when Ron Kolpa was hit on the ricochet and concussed. Payoff fouled off.
He pitches with a level of intensity, Gray does. It reminds me a lot of Max Scherzer. They're both, high quality pitchers. Scherzer is one of the top guys of his generation, but they compete to make pitches. And you kind of tell, you watch Sonny Gray's, his facial expressions, his body language. I mean, he just loves being out there competing.
Payoff to Turner. Little hesitant on that swing. Blandino at foul ground makes the catch. Let's take a look at our storylines for the game, brought to you by Elk and Elk. So the aces of this team, Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo. The Reds are 4-13 when they start, and they're 4 games over 500 with every other starter.
Yeah, well, when it comes to Sonny Gray, I can tell you the reason why. I mean, in the 7 games that he has pitched, the Reds have scored a total of 19 runs. So, I mean, And even the one game that he pitched, 7 shutout innings, they weren't able to get him the win in that. They ended up winning that game. That was against the White Sox. You know, the more I go along, John, the more I realize that, maybe wins are not a way that you judge the quality of a starting pitcher. Obviously, especially now since guys are only going 5 innings plus.
Sonny Gray trying to give his team as many innings as possible, but Soto's another national that has decent numbers in a small sample, 3 for 6 against Gray. And that one stung into center. The Reds defense brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Jesse Winker, Shogo Akiyama the start in center. Naquin over in right field. Eugenio Suarez already has another home run as a leadoff hitter. Kyle Farmer's gone deep on the series. Max Schrock we saw in game 1. Alex Blandino as well as a late pinch hitter. And Tyler Stevenson gets the start behind the plate. A chance for Shogo Akiyama to start. Nick Senzel will have his arthroscopic surgery tomorrow. There's that infectious smile. Just low to Josh Bell. One of the moments when I think of Shogo's season, granted he's had limited time to play, I think of the streaking catch he made in center field in Colorado. That was a great play.
Yeah.
This is another hitter, similar to that pop by Turner, that made the decision to swing. It looked like really late, had a hard time reading Gray's pitch.
He had a hard time believing that fastball moved as much as it did.
Flick to first, safe retreat by Soto.
Gray is so athletic, and that's one of the reasons why he has an excellent move to first base. Very quick feet.
What's his golf game like?
Hits it a long way. And I can tell you what, he doesn't back off. I haven't played with him this year. He's been nursing a bad back. I presume feels good enough to pitch. You got to be good enough to chip it around a little bit.
Shift is on, 2-1. Lifted, Bell frustrated. Suarez makes the catch. And 2 down for Gray. Just the idea of having a lead feels like a bit of breathing room. I know it's only 1 run. It's the first inning, but as Kyle Schwarber stands in, I also feel like some of that momentum, the bigger picture view of the game, it changes through the lens of a 7-inning game as opposed to 9.
It certainly did last year. That was our first experience with it, scheduled games, and it seems that Trevor Bauer, every time you played a 7-inning game, was Trevor Bauer on the hill, and he'd throw a complete game. I mean, that's anecdotal, but in my memory, that's what it seems like. And I'm sure Gray's thinking the same thing. I can give you a CG here today. I can shut him down. I can be the stopper after a Reds loss. He's been very good, by the way, after Reds losses. Since 2019, Gray is 11-9. Earned run average right around 3 after the Reds have lost a game. So he's given his team a chance to win a lot of those games to stop a streak.
One. Everything is moving pretty well. That breaking ball, the pitch before, I mean, Schwarber dropped to a knee with a giant Herculean cut. And the late sink on that last pitch. These Nationals hitters, yes, Soto really ripped it. He's one of the best young hitters in the game. And the rest have been off balance against Gray. One, two. And I'm curious what you see, Chris. I feel like watching Gray, one of the other smaller, nuanced weapons is his ability to vary his own timing and dictate pacing to the hitter.
You mean between pitchers or
Yeah.
in the delivery? Yeah.
In both.
Uh-huh. Like right there. Slide step. First time he has done that. Out of the full windup, that's a pretty good point, because out of the full windup, sometimes he'll give you the Johnny Cueto extra hesitation move. Not quite the shimmy rocking chair that Cueto does, but he understands the importance of getting these guys off their timing.
2 outs, full count. Runner goes. And that's strike 3. Sonny Gray, the backwards K of Schwarber. He has a gripe. Gray strands a man. Profile on Steven Strasburg, the MVP of the 2019 World Series. He won games 2 and 6. With the latter, he helped the Nats avoid elimination. First pitch down and away to Kyle Farmer. He went 8 1/3 in that game, and he became the first pitcher since Curt Schilling in '93 to go at least 8 1/3, not allow more than 2 runs in an elimination game in the World Series. Fly to right. Soto had broke it back, bends in, makes the catch. Of course, his Nationals were not only able to finish it off in Game 7, but they made history by becoming the first team to win 4 games all on the road to win a World Series. Max Schrock. First pitch strike.
One of the things that happens when a pitcher loses his velocity is you get fewer hitters chasing pitches because they see the ball longer. They see it better. And that's a trend that's following Steven Strasburg right now. He's at an all-time low career-wise for hitters chasing pitches in the zone. They're swinging at only 55% of his in-zone pitches, and chasing pitches out of the zone at 18%. That's an all-time low for him as well.
He just doesn't quite look comfortable tonight. I would fall short of saying laboring, but he does not look like he's throwing easy. That pitch had great bite, but it did not fool Schrock, who watched it drop off the table. Sonny Gray is on deck. He bats in the 8th position. Alex Blandino, you can see him deeper there in the dugout, bats 9th. Oh, that one is lined sharply all the way to the wall. Turned at first by Schrock. He'll make Soto work, who pumps and then lobs in. A double for Max Schrock to the right field wall.
That's a quick bat. I mean, we were really impressed with what we saw from Schrock in spring training. That's where we saw him play the most. Now, that's a good level swing, really quick path through the ball.
Oh, man in scoring position. Remember, this is a 7-inning game. Now, also keep in mind, if last night's game that got suspended, if it had gone 5, and you're sitting there in a tie and you get a suspended game, then this would have been a 9-inning game, because that didn't go the threshold of innings. That's what makes this 7. Sonny Gray hitless this year. Does not have a home run. Oddly, his only extra base hit speaks to his athleticism, a triple. And I like how he goes up there with no batting gloves.
Moises Alou, Keith Hernandez. Who else is in that group?
Jorge Posada.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Carpenter.
True that, Jim Day. Grounded. Schrock breaks. Turner gathers and throws. So Schrock's got third at each and every home game at Great American Ballpark. If a Reds player hits a home run that hits the Toyota hit and win sign, one lucky fan will win a new Toyota Tundra. Visit your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers today and register to win. Now, David Bell had Gray hit 8th, and Gray gets a ground ball that advances the runner to 3rd. And now Alex Blandino has a chance to hit with a man 90 feet away. Oddly enough, the last time the Reds had the pitcher hit 8th, of course, last year there was a universal DH, so it was a moot point. August the 27th of 2019. Excuse me, September 27th of 2019 at Pittsburgh. It was Anthony DeSclafani who started. He batted 8th, and Alex Blandino batted 9th. The Reds lost that game to the Pirates 6-5. Strasburg makes the overhand throw. Max Schrock a double, but stranded ultimately at 3rd. 1-0 Reds.
Guaranteed rates believe, and you can believe in the Reds in 7-inning games. Chris had talked about it last year. Trevor Bauer was a 7-inning master. 9-3 record, and that includes 5-1 in the back half of those doubleheaders. 3 shutouts, 2 of them by Bauer, and a plus 27 run differential. So 7-inning affairs, they were good to the Reds last year, and so far, so good in this one.
Yeah, the Reds fans here can enjoy the lead 1-0. Sonny Gray takes on Starlin Castro. Eugenio Suarez homered the difference early. Bare hand play. Eugenio Suarez. Oh, he's doing it all tonight.
From one third baseman to another right there. That's a good play. And probably the hardest part of that play is watching the ball into your bare hand. Getting a grip on it so that you can throw it accurately. Well done.
And that throw was up the line some. You could see Castro bend his head away because that ripped into the webbing of Blandino's first base glove, only a few inches from his cheek. David Bell put him in the leadoff spot. And it's now been 3 games. He's got 4 hits, 2 homers. And he's been playing at third base too. His more familiar position. Pretty great play, and that's an awesome pitch by Gray. Suarez with 2 strikes can back up. You could hear the tennis-like grunt from Gray. That one a little inside. I love watching Sonny Gray pitch. That's a pretty nasty pitch, just low. Three-two. Defensive swing dribbled. Gray makes the play. Now the veteran Yan Gomes. The only National so far to leave the infield. Soto hit a crisp single to center. It's been pop out, strike out. In this inning, ground out, ground out. Gray just gets so much out of his body, and he seems to be one of those guys that's both in the moment and thinking ahead and setting up hitters within this plate appearance and for later in the game. Shallow center. Akiyama surges in and on the sprint makes the catch. 1, 2, 3 for Gray and company. Breaking it. Download the MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch by pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your Reds and the rest of the league. 1-0. Reds have the lead. Eugenio Suarez having himself a night, a home run. And a highlight, bare hand play at third base. Takes ball 1 from Steven Strasburg. Reds have now had 6 leadoff home runs this year. 3 by Jesse Winker, 2 by Tyler Naquin, and now a Eugenio Suarez. Breaking ball from Strasburg.
That's kind of what we talked about in the open, John, about how Strasburg's curveball basically rolls right off a table, where Sonny Gray changes the shape of his a little bit. Can get it to go a little bit more horizontal, sometimes straight down, but most of the time it has a little bit of slide break to it.
Two guys with breaking stuff, with excellent pedigree. And just thinking about this, I mean, for Suarez now, he's got 2 homers in the series as the leadoff man. Look who they've come against. Swing and a miss. That's a nasty breaking ball. He's gone deep against Scherzer and Strasburg.
That rotation right there, you know, the only time we show you a close-up and a slow-mo of rotation is when it's really good. So we've seen Strasburg, and we've also seen TJ Antone recently. Very similar, kind of the way they come out of their hand, although TJ's has a more of a side spin where he'll really get his to break across the strike zone more. Strasburg's drops it straight down.
And Jim Day had asked TJ Antone about being the bullpen savior, which he kind of laughed at and had some fun with. But Jim, I thought his perspective on David Bell using him really as a hot hand. He didn't define himself as being better than teammates, just being really locked in as Winker sends that one to left. Sliding glove by Schwarber.
When you think about it, I mean, think about when the game or an inning is tough, and then all of a sudden we take a shot of TJ Antone. It's like the entire fan base goes, "Oh, all right, we'll be all right." So that was kind of what the question was of the pitching savior, which he just dusted it right off and went right back to team and giving David Bell some credit.
But I agree with you, though. I mean, Antone is, you can make a case that Antone's the best pitcher on the team. Now, he's not throwing the most innings, but I mean, his stuff is great, and he's in the zone all the time, and he's racking up strikeouts like crazy. And yes, he's learning about Star Wars.
Doesn't make him a bad guy.
And look who he's next to.
Yep, just going to say he's
Yeah.
sitting right next to the guy that he's learning all that Star Wars stuff from. He says he's all in.
Think that's what they're talking right now?
Could be. This is the way.
So what if he hadn't given him the high ground? What do you think would have happened? 0-2 on Naquin. And that's another reason why. I mean, you see it all the time. When there's a veteran presence like Doolittle, and you see a younger rising player who has immense talent, and you see this chance for them to just sit and watch the game together. How much you can learn by just watching the game, listening and asking informed questions.
That's how you learn.
Well, those guys I'm sorry, Chris. Those guys are locker mates as well. In the COVID situation, spreading these guys out, you basically have a locker mate. And it's Antone and it's Doolittle. And Antone, they are both very, very intelligent when it comes to talking about the game of baseball. And Antone just soaks up everything from Doolittle, and why not? Some serious beard game going on in that locker mate situation as well.
Which one do you like? The more kind of well-kempt Antone, or the?
I don't think. I mean, Antone's is all pro any sport every year.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was mentioned earlier today, and you brought up another pretty awesome comparison for Antone to the beard game.
Captain Obvious.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Swing and a miss. Well, Strasburg gets the strikeout of Naquin. Bookend K's. 3 on his day. Beard game. Reds baseball on Bally Sports Ohio is brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good, it's Skyline time. First pitch popped up. Andrew Stevenson chips it to shallow outfield. Kyle Farmer the glove. Now a brief word from La Rosa's.
Strikeouts for slices from La Rosa's is back. When the Reds tally 11 strikeouts, text Reds, and you could win a free small one-topping pizza from La Rosa's.
Chris, there's something about hearing Cowboys' voice that just makes me feel good.
Well, you're going to get a chance to hear that, I think. When would that be? Starting tomorrow.
Oh, you're out?
I believe so. I thought it was you that was kicking me out.
Oh, definitively no. I welcome all. I think we should have like a 6-man booth. It should be us. Tommy should be here. Cowboy, Jim Day. We should all be in the same room.
Yeah,
we should have beverages.
We do agree on a lot of things. Yep, Cowboy will be sitting in this same chair tomorrow, and I'll be over on the radio side with Tommy Thrall.
How's that been going this year? You having fun?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you get to do some play-by-play on the radio.
Very little, thankfully.
Just like riding a bike. Go right back to it. All muscle memory. Sonny Gray on the corner. The Community Fund Split the Pot jackpot is available online, a rolling jackpot of over $10,000. The jackpot will continue to grow until the conclusion of Wednesday's game against the Phillies. Remember, you must be 18 or older and in the state of Ohio to purchase. Buy now, Reds5050.com. Back to the top of the order. Ball 1 to Trey Turner. No, first time through, Sonny Gray, 2 strikeouts, no walks, 1 hit, a single, and only 2 total Nationals have even left the infield. 2-0. Reds take this game. They take the series, and just winning a series feels like a big step. Still got some guys banged up, and
it would actually be a huge step because I mean you're winning the series against Max Scherzer and Strasburg. I mean, if that doesn't pump your team up a little bit, I'm not sure what would.
Doing it on the road, and amidst more injury news. Jeff Hoffman going on the injured list. The surgery to come tomorrow for Senzel. Moustakas, last we heard, was running underwater. And we did hear that Joey Votto was taking swings, which is great news.
What did you say about Moustakas? He was running
on like an underwater treadmill. Yeah. Yeah, to not put too much weight or pressure on the heel, but still be able to keep the body moving so it's not as jarring once he's cleared with the heel that he can get up to speed to be in a ball game.
I could see you leading a water aerobics class.
I've been to a water aerobics class. I was by far the youngest person in it. Grounded to short. It was actually a lot of fun. And Turner, who can fly, rips through the bag, and he is a 2-out runner. David Bell says, don't take another look. He's in. That was a broken bat hit that only went 66 miles an hour off the bat. Plus, he's super quick.
Give me 200 of those. And then I'll see you at the arbitration table.
You were talking about Ricky in the leadoff spot earlier, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, the bottom line is the bottom line, right? Getting yourself on base, driving a run in, scoring a run, throwing a 0 on the board if you're a pitcher. All the other stuff is just a method by way you get there. Big lead. You're going to pick him off.
Turner took a couple of bags in the earlier game. Became baseball's first to double-digit steals and homers this year. Two and one on Soto. Stevenson able to eye him back to the bag. By the way, Trey Turner this year, his sprint speed, almost 31 feet per second. He is tied with the Padres' Jorge Mateo as the fastest men in Major League Baseball this year. They're both just ahead of Tim LeCastro, who had been the king, but remember has been banged up. When the Reds saw them, he got hurt. And Mike Petriello of MLB.com did a story today on the biggest increases and decreases in sprint speed this year. Mookie Betts is among the 5 biggest decreases, but insists that he's not banged up in any way. One of the men who's way faster this year than he's ever been before is Juan Soto. Full count, so a giant lead for Turner. Behind his ear, Blandino, who backs up. Turner breaks and an ask of time. Turner was more than halfway to second base and had to shut it down because time was called.
Well, that was Soto asking for time. Umpires are not required to give it.
Turner is a track start to second. Grounded, easy play. Well, just a broken bat infield hit this inning. 1-0 still. Park View brought to you by the T-Mobile Coverage Cam. Shot in the outfield can be rather sweet. And if you got Reds gear on, all the better. Ball 1 to Tyler Stevenson. You had mentioned, watching games both on the bench and in the bullpen, having dialogue with teammates. So in different ballparks, bullpens can be in different spots. Is there any angle or ballpark that you really liked, that you felt like you could see the game better from or differently?
Well, back in the days that I played, John, a lot of those bullpens were right down the left field line or the right field line, like
right.
at Wrigley Field or at Candlestick, for instance. Some of the bullpens were nearly impossible to see the ballpark at all, like the bullpens in the old Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. It was plexiglass, and it was so worked over and ruined that you could barely admitted light. Plus the fans would throw a lot of things at you there. Like snowballs.
And now a quick word from Rally House.
Gear up for the ballpark, Cincy. From the most popular Nike jerseys to the latest throwback styles, shop the largest selection of Reds gear at your local Rally House today.
I think in the NBA playoffs, popcorn might be involving a Philadelphia fan or so.
Yeah, well, that was a Santa Claus reference.
Oh yeah. Well, the people there are very, very familiar.
I think overall, though, that the Wrigley Field, when it was on the field,
yeah,
those were the best. You could interact with the fans. You're sitting right next to the warm-up mounds. Sometimes you had to get out of the way if you had a left-handed pitcher warming up, and he was on that inner mound.
That's something that always stunned me. I was in A-ball for almost 10 years. That with the exposed bullpens down the line in the much smaller stadiums. Now, yes, somebody's there playing bodyguard. They're giving both a verbal heads up and as a glove in hand. But out of all the games, I never saw anyone even come close to getting smoked with a foul ball.
Really?
Yeah. In the area or on the ground, but nothing that was, oh my goodness, on contact. What's going to happen here? Swing and a miss. But I like the view the Reds relievers have here. They almost look like they're atop a monster truck or something looking out on the field. Those are some primo seats.
Yeah, those are good seats there.
They could make a buck if they sold those to the fans.
Get a good look at the view, because when they go to Wrigley now tomorrow, you're not even in the open air anymore.
A little more challenging condition.
Very.
Plus, it'll be day games all 3 days. Swing and a miss. Tough breaking ball in. 4 Ks for Strasburg.
That was a very good sequence of pitches for Strasburg, and not an easy one for Akiyama to adjust to. A couple of fastballs up and away, and then he comes a completely different part of the zone. You can see how he kind of tied Shogo up and just trying to foul that ball off. You know, for a guy that we thought did not feel good or look good, body language was lousy, Strasburg now has going to put it together 8 in a row. 7 in a row.
Here's a great breaking ball strike. I totally agree. I mean, that third inning with the bookend Ks, and he did get some help on that Schwarber sliding grab, a pretty well hit ball by Winker, but he's looked far more fluid. He's in the zone a lot more, and that breaking ball is playing great. Pops up Farmer. 8 in a row retired for Steven Strasburg, and a 1-run affair.
Drop a new podcast presented by Western and Southern Financial Group. Visit reds.com/podcast and subscribe today. This week's guest, Jay Bruce. Ironically enough, on this date, 2008, he was the #1 prospect in all of baseball at the time, and what a debut it was. He collects 3 hits, 3 for 3, double, couple runs driven in, reached base in all 5 plate appearances. Well anticipated, and he talks about that debut on the podcast as Schrock makes the out, because it was one of the more surreal days in his career for Jay Bruce. Because you think of Jay Bruce, you think right field. Well, he started in center field that game with Ken Griffey Jr. in right.
I love that segment of that episode, Jim. You know, you and I were talking about it some the other day. He was still to this day in disbelief of the idea of, I'm in center field, Ken Griffey Jr.'s in the corner.
Yeah, and he was his childhood idol. I mean, that's hard enough, let alone like, okay, Junior, you're in right, Jay Bruce is in center. What?
I also loved, and Chris, I think you would enjoy this, you know, Jim and Jay talk about Jay's perspective of the game and contrast that with Joey Votto's. And you do an excellent job of bringing a lot of great stuff from these guests, Jim. They love you. That's sincere. I mean that. And you get them to just talk to you. And it's a tremendous storytelling vehicle. And I highly encourage any Reds fan, any baseball fan, to subscribe to your podcast.
I appreciate that, John. Thank you.
3-0 on Schwarber. I can't wait for the first Jim Days back in the field interviewing Suarez. I think before the interview even begins, there has to be a hug, like an elongated minute long. I've missed you.
Listen, if they let me back on the field, I'll go full bromance.
Are you loving his renaissance right now, Jim?
Oh, absolutely. And we talked to him after the game the other night about, he said he was just thinking too much, and it's obvious in these last few games he's gone back to see ball, hit ball. He's hitting opposite field, going with the pitch, seeing the ball, hitting the ball, and it looks like he is not thinking as much.
It's such a difficult thing, Chris, right, to arrive at, to kind of let that go and just be in those moments. Oh, nice play by Gray. He is on tonight.
He's in the moment right there, John. Sonny Gray is. But, you know, Jim has the ability to let these guys let their hair down a little bit. And that's what it takes. It's hard to do on a Zoom call, because when we interview players or you listen to a manager talk, you know, there are another 10 or 15 people all on that Zoom call. So you very rarely do you get any inside scoop that is not published or on Twitter or gone immediately somewhere. But, you know, your podcasts take that a step or two further, Jim. They're all enjoyable.
Even Chris Welsh has an addition on there.
The story of Starlin Castro is not necessarily unique. There are many that have this kind of tale, but it's one that I don't know that a lot of American baseball fans are aware of. So I think everybody knows baseball's big in the DR, in the Dominican Republic. They don't entirely understand what the conditions are like that these then boys are in when they first play. When Starlin Castro started playing baseball at age 7, he used a milk carton as a glove. And that was the norm. That's what kids did. They didn't have money to get a glove. They couldn't get a glove. And the idea that, you know, training yourself to hit pebbles with small sticks and the hand-eye coordination that evolves and evokes. And there's a reason that it's culturally such a big sport, and that players that grow up in those conditions can become so successful. Sonny Gray is just dead on. He is dominating and dealing up 1-0. Valley Sports Ohio is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Pitching has been strong tonight. Ball 1 to Max Schrock. Reds lead it 1-0, and Eugenio Suarez homer. He would be due up 4th this inning if a Red could reach. Schrock is the last Red to get on base. He doubled a ball that skipped to the right field wall in the second. But Steven Strasburg has retired 8 straight since and 12 of 13 overall. Two and one.
Kind of interesting, really, over the years to follow Steven Strasburg. I mean, I don't know if I remember a more heralded amateur player in the draft, a more certain can't-miss major leaguer than Strasburg. First pick overall, 2009, out of San Diego State, played for Tony Gwynn. And I mean, he just dominated all over the place. So he gets his major league debut in 2010. But the Reds also had a first-round draft pick that year. Picked 8th overall was Mike Leake. And Mike Leake went right to the major leagues in 2010 without any minor league stuff. So it's interesting to look back. Leake has been more durable. He's pitched more innings than Strasburg, even though he's not pitching this year, nor did he pitch last year. And the number of wins, if you compare the number of wins between Strasburg and Mike Leake, Strasburg only has 8 more wins than does Mike Leake. Now, overall, if you want to get technical and talk about WAR, Strasburg's WAR is slightly over 30. Leake is somewhere around 17 or 18, something like that. But I just thought that was interesting that the Reds kind of went out on a limb to pick Mike Leake. And he was maybe not as high a ceiling as Strasburg, maybe not as high a ceiling as some high school players, but he was one player who was closest to the major leagues, and they went out and they brought him right up to the big leagues. I thought it was a interesting pick. It worked out fine for the Reds, and you know, here we are 12 years later, 10 years later anyway, that 12 total, that you compare the two and see how close they really are.
I like that.
A lot of it, of course, for Strasburg has been held back because of his injuries.
Yeah.
And he's missed so much time, and that's the reason Leake had pitched so much more. I think Leake had an opportunity to play this year, turned down a couple of contracts. I'm not sure if he's officially retired, but he's not playing.
Yeah, the only other player in recent time that I can readily think of that had that same kind of hype is actually his former teammate. Bryce Harper was somewhat similar, but was a little more unknown. You know, had that year at JUCO, and there was a more of a proving ground coming up. Oh, off the mound, Sonny Gray runs on through, safe. When it's your night, it's your night.
Base hit all the way. Hit it back at the worst fielder on the team. It goes right off the glove foot of Strasburg. He can't find it. And by the time Josh Bell picks it up, there's nobody covering first base, and Gray's going to scamper right by for an infield hit.
Now, putting Gray in that 8th position, you know, he advanced the runner in the second. They didn't get a run, but yeah, he essentially kind of did a job there. And now he's aboard for Blandino.
You know, in 2009, when they picked up Steven Strasburg, it was kind of the beginning of the change for the Nationals. They'd gone over so many different changes over the years. They were the Expos. They played some seasons down in Puerto Rico. They come into Washington, D.C. They change ownerships. And then they were able to get Strasburg and Drew Storen in 2009. They picked up Bryce Harper the next year in 2010 with the #1 pick overall. A couple of years later, they picked up Anthony Rendon, and this franchise was kind of off and running a little bit. All capped by that 2019 World Series.
And the other commonality as he went on appeal that I think the Nats fans would gladly trade the World Series for, but they haven't held on to their superstars. Harper left, Rendon left, and there's wonder what happens with Turner, what happens way down the road with Soto, who's still so young, still in the early stage of his career.
Well, they're really top heavy with their payroll. I mean, they owe Strasburg another 4 years at 35.
Right.
Scherzer comes off the book this year, but I understand a lot of his money is deferred money that the ball club still owes him. They are only about $15 million under the luxury tax threshold. So that means your payroll for your 40-man roster is up around $195 million. So they're spending a lot of money in hopes that this core, that's why they went out and added a number of veteran players, Schwarber, Castro, guys like that, Yan Gomes, Avila. I mean, they had a chance to sell off and rebuild, decided, no, this is one more chance to see if this core can, while we have Strasburg, while we have Scherzer, while they can still, maybe make a run for it.
Swing and a miss. Dives down and in. 5 Ks for Strasburg, 2 times through. The only run of the game, Eugenio Suarez, our StatCast breakdown from Google Cloud. He has been living opposite field, almost 103 miles an hour off the bat. Good vibes tonight. And there's ball 1. And knowing this is a 7-inning game, along with they're both really talented and capable pitchers. Both Gray and Strasburg have been dealing. They've both been very efficient. But we spoke with Sam LeCure some earlier, and he made a good point about some of the wins the Reds had and the loss in Game 1. And what a miss is a touchdown. The bullpen usage that while Washington held on and won the game, the Reds scored 3 runs in the 8th. They made some noise in the 9th, and they forced Davey Martinez to use his best bullpen options.
Right. Yeah, I thought you meant Game 1 of the series.
No.
Game 1 today. Yeah, you threw me off there for a second. Well, they had to bring in Daniel Hudson.
Right.
So you're wondering if he's available, later in the game.
And Brad Hand also.
And they had to go rescue Tanner Rainey. So, their bullpen ended up pitching probably more than they thought they would. But it's kind of interesting how that matchup on the very first game of the series, 2-0, when Tyler Mahle outdueled Max Scherzer, that was decided by home runs. And the home run in this ball game is the difference.
And I almost think it's an even bigger win to see Gino turn in that corner. This is now 3 games in that leadoff spot. And so some might ask the idea of, well, what happens if he keeps hitting in the leadoff spot? Well, I think the answer would be obvious, right? He keeps hitting in the leadoff spot. Whatever has him producing, that's what you do. Something happened here over by the tarp. Is there a ball? Yeah, there was a ball down there. Scott Barry, who joined this crew filling in as the third base umpire, just flipped it into the dugout. Thank you, sir. Just misses low. Strike zone has been a little generous for both teams, and you could see the hesitation there from Gino.
Well, right now, Strasburg not happy at all. I mean, he took an extra look and then kind of stared down the home plate umpire on this one.
Not the first time in this game that he's given some weird looks to the home plate umpire. In the past, that has disrupted Strasburg, we've seen over the years. But as a veteran, I think he can shake that off.
I mean, it changes a lot, though, here, Jim. I mean, it keeps the inning alive, puts a runner in scoring position, and brings up Jesse Winker.
Winker's been hit by pitch. He is lined out to left. Sliding grab by Schwarber. Breaking ball strike. Our Geico real saving stat on Jesse Winker. 2 games with 4 or more hits in his last 5. He had 1 in his first 339 career games. Misses up. Gray and Suarez lead. Gray's got the gloves on, leading off the bag. Swing and a miss. Well, Davey Martinez said when Strasburg threw 6 days ago, he was, quote, chirpy. And he was encouraged by that Strasburg was showing a little more energy, that he was personally very invested, trying to overcome a couple of different injury challenges that have severely limited his innings the last 2 years. Misses up and in. He only threw 72 pitches last time out, went 5 1/3. And after getting through 4 so briskly pitch efficient, that's gone up a bit here in the 5th. That's what happened to him last time out. Up the middle, takes a weird skip into center field. A whip around third. Gray scores. Suarez over to third base. The Reds expand the lead. It's 2-0.
You know, I don't know if that ball hit the second base bag or not, but it took a wacky hop right over the mound. Yep, it hit the bag right in the center of the bag, and that's an awful good break for the Reds right there. No way Turner can react to that. A little 2-out lightning.
And to his credit, Turner tried to extend the bare hand there. Nick Castellanos loving it. He's available off the bench. Sonny Gray getting his laps in. Maybe doesn't have to run polls. Tyler Naquin takes a strike. He has flied out and struck out. This is a 7-inning game, so any run just feels a little heavier. Opposite way, gets down, base hit. That is fair. Suarez scores all the way over to third base. Jesse Winker, an RBI double for Tyler Naquin, and a 2-run inning. The Reds lead 3-0.
The Reds are getting a few breaks here. A little Sonny Gray base hit up the middle off the pitcher's toe. A ball that hit the second base bag. This little 60-degree wedge that comes to rest right up against the wall. Doesn't matter how you get them. They don't ask you how. They ask you how many.
Now, Tyler Stevenson will see Strasburg's 28th pitch of the inning. It's down and away. So you've got a man the Nationals are heavily invested in financially, who's had 2 different significant injury concerns the last 2 years. It's only his 2nd start after his latest nearly month on the injured list. Approaching 30 pitches on the inning and misses low. And the Nationals have Kyle McGowan holding a baseball in the bullpen. He's going to get up and throw. Three straight Reds have reached with 2 outs. Down and away, 3-0. Almost 50-50 balls and strikes among his 30 pitches on the inning. Little poke to center or right field. How about a shot to center? Caught on the run by Andrew Stevenson. Well, the Reds put 2 more on the board. A 3-0 edge. Sonny Gray got the backward K of Starlin Castro. That put a bow on a perfect 4th. He is our AAA in the driver's seat breakdown man tonight. This season, almost 60% of the plate appearances where a hitter gets to strike 2 against Gray ends in a strikeout. That's 4th best in the National League. If he gets to 2 strikes on you, you're as close to dead to rights as that they come in the NL. Faces Luis Garcia. He had 2 strikes on him, got him to ground out back to Gray. There's ball 1. Well, through 4, Sonny Gray on 58 pitches, 3 strikeouts, no walks, 2 base runners, both on singles, 1 on the infield. He has been on fire. The only Nationals that have left the infield, Juan Soto single to center. That was in the 1st inning. And Yan Gomes fly to center to wrap up the 2nd. That's it. Suero now gets up to throw. Wander Suero. Gray's gone breaking ball heavy down and into Garcia, but he's not quite executing that pitch. We've seen him shake his head in between a few times. And I love that. He's hard on himself. He wants to perform. Calm field and flip. 1 down. And now another brief word from LaRosa's.
Strikeouts for slices from LaRosa's is back. When the Reds tally 11 strikeouts, text Reds, and you could win a free small 1-topping pizza from LaRosa's.
It'll be hard to rack up that many Ks in this 7-inning game, especially with how many ground ball and pop out outs Gray is getting. There's another breaking ball strike to Gomes. The beautiful heavens above. Some far more innocent clouds than we saw last night. Gray at just 65 pitches has gone 11 straight starts entering tonight without a win. He has been very good in the month of May. His team leads 3-0 in the 5th. And for those that don't know or don't recall, even in a 7-inning game, got to go 5 innings if you want to get that win as a starting pitcher. Two. Well struck foul.
Boy, Gray just living on the outside of that strike zone tonight. I mean, on the perimeter, right on the edge, a little bit off. I mean, you can count really on one hand the number of pitches he's thrown in the hot zone. And you can throw it there. If you've got enough movement, you'll get away with it most of the time.
Swing and a miss. He spikes the breaking ball and still gets the chase from Gomes.
What a clean pick there by Stevenson, too. Like no problem at all. I mean, I guess it took a good hop. Stevenson might be getting better at those picks after playing a few days at first base. Scooping him out of the dirt down there.
The unrelated Andrew Stevenson spells his name differently. And you mentioned Living on the Edge, of course, the outstanding Aerosmith song. Jesse Winker was singing Aerosmith in that the mic'd up YouTube game. I felt like we learned a lot about DeWink by being mic'd up that game, and I hope that's something that maybe we could do down the road.
With that singer Aerosmith?
Sure, yeah. He was rapping some. The biggest piece of all of it that he wanted the audience to take away is that when he is examining his outfield card to know where to position himself for certain hitters and situations, that he's constantly getting jeered by fans about looking at his cell phone. Like, this is not my cell phone. I'm not checking Twitter or my text messages during the game. It's a card for work purposes. But it definitely came across how great of a teammate he is, how loose he is, but at the same time how engaged he is in the game.
Yeah, we're watching him mature right before our eyes and have fun in the process. And that's the idea. I mean, teams that have fun always play better. Now, I believe, I know it's a scouting card. I think on one side of it, though, it's a tarot card. And he's wondering what's going to happen at his next AB.
Probably a hit. It's not his cell phone, okay? It's not the cell phone. And you mentioned the word mature, though. Kyle Farmer was asked about Winker's son this week. And that's exactly the word that he went to.
I think he realizes that if he's going to be a great player overall, you've got to be a complete player. You've got to be a leader in a clubhouse. You've got to be a guy that is engaged all the time, that doesn't take at bats off, doesn't take plays off. You help your teammates where you can, and you can be dependable or depended on, and that's the most important thing that your teammates want.
Payoff, strike three. Wow. Sonny Gray means business. 5 two-hit innings of shutout ball. Our Honda game summary right from the start. Eugenio Suarez, a leadoff home run. He's been aboard twice tonight. Base knocks, Jesse Winker knocked in a run with a single. Tyler Naquin the same with a double. That plated Suarez, part of a 2-run fifth. That it turns out has chased Steven Strasburg. The Reds on top because Sonny Gray is all over the Nats. He has allowed 2 base runners, both singles, 1 on the infield, 5 Ks, no walks. And Wander Suero enters 6th inning of a 7-inning game. We saw Suero 2 nights ago. He went a scoreless, perfect inning, couple of strikeouts. Only 3 walks against 14 Ks in 12 2/3. Outside to Shogo Akiyama. So Strasburg done and on the hook. 5 innings, 3 runs, 5 hits. He walked a man, hit a batter, struck out 5, gave up the home run. 87 pitches, 49 strikes.
He actually pitched better than his line shows. I mean, the home run he gave up to Suarez, obviously, but Reds got their share of lucky breaks there in that last inning where they pushed a couple across. We'll take them.
Swing and a miss. Lefties 163 against Suero, 7 for 43 a season ago. Just misses low. You know, it's odd. We've seen a lot of full counts tonight, and yet the pace has been fairly crisp. Only one walk, despite a barrage of full counts. Only one combined walk. Both sides. And that one up the middle. Turner's got it. One down. Kyle Farmer due up. A 7-inning game, so the Reds up 3 runs, need 6 outs. And the Nats will have 9, 1, and 2. Looks like Suero was in a straight switch with Strasburg. Pinch hit. And also remember that if the Reds have a chance to really put themselves over the top, depending upon the situation, Nick Castellanos is a giant bat off the bench they could go to. Oh-2. Swing and a miss. Fastball up and in. Join us for Reds reopening day on Wednesday when Great American Ballpark returns to full capacity as the Reds take on the Phillies at 12:35 p.m. For a limited time only, Bally Sports Ohio is a special offer. View level tickets for just $5. Hurry, the offer ends Monday at midnight. Purchase now. Reds.com/Bally. One 1-0 on Max Schrock. This down. Reds are going to see the Cubs in Chicago starting tomorrow. Cubs beat the Pirates 5-3 today as Chris Bryant hit his 11th home run, and a play that's made the rounds on the highlight shows took place on the bases with Javier Baez. Max Schrock finds a hole, 2-out runner.
I think Schrock had a feeling that they were pitching him outside for a reason. He hit that double down the right field line his first time up. It looked like they just wanted to stay away from him, and he kind of goes upstairs to tomahawk that ball into center field. Hit the ball sharply twice now.
Sonny Gray's got a base hit. To right field, Soto perfectly positioned. That's the inning. Sonny Gray can get back to doing what he does best. Back to the bump, twirling a 2-hitter. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Reds. The Reds themed ticket packages are back and on sale now, and this year's Star Wars ticket package features a C-3PO bobblehead presented by Skyline Chili. Guarantee this collectible bobble today. Reds.com/themes. Well, Sonny Gray tonight has been sensational.
Well, his pitches always have a lot of movement, and he's usually on the corners. But tonight, I mean, he has been especially sharp. Breaking ball has been good, but I think the fastball is a pitch like that. That comeback action on the fastball is more evident tonight than it has normally been. Even getting good hops on his breaking pitch. He's thrown some pitches tonight that are just basically unhittable. And I think he's probably thinking about 5th inning, only 75 pitches. I'm feeling good, Skip.
The day man, fighter of the night man, master of the sun. Who does he face here? Stephen Strasburg out of the game. The pitcher spot was there. Looks like Wander Suero pulled back. They'll go with the left-handed bat of Yadiel Hernandez, who we've seen in each of the first 2 games of the series. Ball 1. Deep left field. On the warning track, Jesse Winker. On top of the order, Trey Turner. And this is the real challenge, right? Turner at the plate, Soto on deck, 2 of the elite in this Washington lineup. If you can find a path through this part of the order, then you're thinking CG. Yes, I know, 7-inning game, but still, you had mentioned how Trevor Bauer thrived in those 7-inning affairs, and big part of why he was the first Red Cy Young winner. Oh, 0-2. Gray's been able to live down and away, both purposefully right on the edge of the zone and diving even further away and getting chases.
Well, I mean, he's throwing tonight the 2 best pitches in baseball. Pitches that look like a strike and end up being a ball, and pitches that look like a ball and end up being a strike. I mean, if you throw ones that look like a ball and they end up a ball, it's a waste pitch. Batter never even considers it. And if you throw the other ones that are down the middle, they usually get hit.
Oh, and he makes the stab. The bouncer on the breaking ball. He's had to field his position some tonight, too. 2 up, 2 down. After the game, Reds Live, the post-game show brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. BG and Sam will be on the way. Will Sam's shirt be buttoned all the way to the top? I don't know. I'm going to find out with you. We're going to have to watch together. Sean Doolittle, the return to D.C. He had been warming as the rains came last night. They're all blurring. That was yesterday, right? Today is Thursday. Miss way up. Three and 0. Gray has retired 9 in a row since Trey Turner reached on an infield hit. Broken bat job in the 3rd. Only came off the bat 66 miles an hour. Turner sprinted down the line. It just beat Kyle Farmer's throw. And now Soto's on with a 4-pitch walk. Cue the music. Miami Valley Gaming.
shimmy on down and get ready to get lucky at Miami Valley Gaming.
Awesome.
All right, so Statsman Dave and we broke it down. And Chris backed away.
You guys are impressive. I wanted to give you plenty of room on the dance floor. Whoa.
You know who really cuts
aerobics.
it up? Oh, throw that Blandino just barely brings in. Barry Larkin really cuts it up.
I bet he does.
His chair dance move off the charts. And that's a big glove there by Blandino, trying to preserve the shutout. That ball gets away. Soto, even down to the ground, he's pretty quick. Oh, I lied, guys. I lied. I do have a preview. Sam is normally in his pajamas, has shown up, and the shirt is done all the way to the top button. All the way up. Tell you, he and BG do a great job. 0-1 to Bell. Fouled away. Now Lucas Sims warms for the Reds. Soto had reached on the 4-pitch walk. Gray still south of 90 pitches. Inside. Stevenson away. 1-2. Just got a piece. Now Reds and Nats wrapping up their second game of the day, granted each abridged, not a full 9 innings. It's not declarative in this game just yet. Stuff can happen, but not scheduled to go that way. And then the Reds got to go to Chicago, play a day game tomorrow. Right back and off of Gray, who makes the flip. You hope he's all right. Certainly locked in on the hill, where he's retired 10 of 11. He is firing a 2-hit shutout. 3-0 through 6. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Bally Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Ford. Built Ford proud. And by the Ohio Department of Public Safety. Remember to buckle your safety belt. If you're not buckled up, what's holding you back? Tomorrow, the Ray St. Clair Roofing pregame show, Reds Live, starts at 1:30 p.m. as the Reds and Cubs collide. The big league debut for Vladimir Gutierrez. 3 starts at AAA, 2-0 with a 2.65, 21 strikeouts against 7 walks in 17 innings. And a new pitcher for the Nationals, Kyle McGowan, is on to face the 9-hole hitter, Alex Blandino.
29-year-old, 4th year in the major leagues, all of them with the Nationals.
Deep breath. You can see the shoulders rise and fall. Pumps in a strike. Gutierrez made himself available to the media, and it was a very lengthy session and deeply personal and moving. It was a tremendous audience to listen to him speak of the chance that he's getting. He said when he got word that he was being called up, he became very emotional. That tears were running down his face. He called his mom. He called his coach that he worked with in Miami. He said, I feel so happy I got that call. Everything I've done in the past has been to get to this moment.
Well, he'll relish it like no other day. I'll tell you, it's a special moment. Congratulations to him, and looking forward to seeing him pitch to his capability because he can be really good.
He did have the suspension, was away for 80 games. And he said that everything for him started in the offseason, that he had a chip on his shoulder. He said, it's time for me to get back to where I was. And debuts can be so sweet, so special. Grounded to third, bobbled. Castro's got no play. Blandino on to begin the 7th.
Well, it's why you run hard down the line every time, because you never know when you're going to have a bobble, even momentarily like that. If you're not running hard and he looks up and sees you halfway there, you're still going to be out. But Blandino puts enough pressure on him that doesn't draw a throw.
So an error on Castro, top of the order. Eugenio Suarez having himself a series. Good pitch. Muckled him some. Strike one.
It'll be interesting to hear the answers that Suarez gives next time he is on one of those Zoom call interviews as to what are you doing different now? I'm not so sure he's going to be able to identify it. I mean, he's probably tried so many different things, so many different strategies, approaches, attitudes, preparation.
Well, granted, it was only the one game, but after he homered off Scherzer at game 1, when he was asked that, he said absolutely nothing. That
right.
it was exactly the same.
That's kind of my point.
Swing and a miss. And yet, in and of itself, it is different, right? Because he's just kind of letting go.
Looks a little bit different. That's the first bad swing out we've seen him take, and that was an awfully good breaking pitch from McGowan.
Because one other subtlety I've not seen, and certainly in this series, and I'm trying to think of the last time I readily noticed it. Blandino held on 0-2. Might have broken his bat. Little bloop. Out goes Turner. Makes the catch. Do you remember the first definitely, 3+ weeks? We would see him during his plate appearance ball up his fist, kind of pound it against his rear leg or against his hip.
Which is a reminder to stay back. Stay
Right.
back. I think the other thing is that I see him a little squarer at the start. But that may change from at bat to at bat. I mean, right now it's obvious when you begin to hit your way out of a slump, now you're thinking about hitting the baseball instead of thinking about any mechanics. It's impossible to think about correcting your mechanics and play at the big league level at the same time.
Jesse Winker.
It's like the answer that Jesse Winker gave to, who did you say it was, a player the Reds played recently. I said, well, Winker,
Mauricio Dubon with the Giants.
Yeah, Dubon said, why are you hitting so well? Because my eyes. Well, he's seeing the ball and he's hitting it. That was Ken Griffey Jr.'s approach. It worked pretty well for a Hall of Fame career.
Into the left field corner against the wall. That's a tough play for Kyle Schwarber, who has now robbed Winker twice tonight. That wouldn't have been a hit, but takes the at-bat away.
He's come a long way, Schwarber has, defensively. You play enough out there, you get enough repetitions. His diving catch earlier against Winker was the dandy.
Tyler Naquin. Keep it in mind, Schwarber leads it off in the home 7th. Castro and Garcia scheduled to follow. Will it be Gray, or will the Reds go to Lucas Sims? Strike one. Gray has retired 10 of 11. He has allowed 2 hits, both singles, 1 on the infield. but he threw a 4-pitch walk that last inning. Into left. Tight to the body, Schwarber. Well, Blandino stranded. Will the Reds pitcher come from the dugout or the bullpen? Opening day on Wednesday when Great American Ballpark returns to full capacity. The Reds take on the Phillies, 12:35 p.m. And for a limited time only, Bally Sports Ohio has a special offer. View level tickets for just $5. Hurry, the offer ends Monday at midnight. Purchase now, reds.com/Bally. Sonny Gray is done. He went 6 scoreless. The baton handed to Lucas Sims.
He came in the other day and took care of whatever problem the Nationals were causing with Amir Garrett. Threw 4 straight sliders and ended up getting Starlin Castro to hit a ground ball to end the ball game. A couple of saves to his credit. 26 strikeouts in 17 innings. He is a hard guy to make contact with.
Big shift is on. Kyle Schwarber has struck out, bounced to the pitcher. Squares to bunt, yanks it back.
Sims didn't get into that completed suspended game earlier, but he did warm up. And I'm assuming got at least close to hot. You never know how that affects a pitcher, getting hot twice same day.
And we saw him throwing when Feliz was throwing, as the Reds rallied and scored 3 in the 8th inning. We often see Lee Tunnell, bullpen coach, organizing everything out there. I know, Jim, his name has come up in your chats with some players recently about how he kind of orchestrates things, keeps them informed and involved.
Constantly talking and definitely giving out information about hitters and prospective hitters, of if a guy's warming up, who they might face. Well liked, Lee Tunnell.
One of the best baseball cards ever, too, Jim Day.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, maybe one day when we go to you in a segment, you can talk about that Lee Tunnell baseball card.
Absolutely. I've been wanting to do a segment with Lee on it, but, you know, I have no access right now.
Fastball, strike 3. Lucas Sims challenges. Schwarber goes down looking, and the Reds are 2 outs away.
I think he had him looking for something else besides the fastball, because this looked like it was a hittable pitch for Schwarber. I mean, he's been hunting the fastball all night long against Sonny Gray. Never really got one to hit. And he has struck out twice today. Schwarber has both times looking.
Starlin Castro has struck out looking. He's also grounded to third. First pitch strike. The Reds are looking for their first series win in a couple of weeks. They took 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh, the 10th through the 12th. Bounced back to Sims. All the pitchers have been fielding tonight for the Reds. 2 down.
That's the 6th comebacker, 5 of them to Gray.
It's almost like he knows he's coming on camera. You see that little smirk there? It was an almost Michael Keaton on Batman moment.
They're 1 out from dancing in the streets of Smyrna, Tennessee, led by the Stork.
One out away. Luis Garcia. Sharp breaking ball strike. Tried to check, and he did hold back. And when we've heard Tyler Mahle speak about his season and stuff, he's brought up some of his teammates, mostly relievers, whose breaking pitches he really likes to watch, and he loves watching Sims throw his breaking ball. Into left field, pretty deep. It's going to fall foul, twisting in the corner.
It's a pretty quick swing here for Garcia. You know, we don't get really much chance to see him very much. They don't spring training Arizona. The Nationals don't. He hit that triple earlier, and that ball almost was a banger off the wall down there, left field line. Very quick bat.
Now the Reds 1 strike away. 1-2. Shot to right center on the sprint. Shogo Akiyama makes the catch, and the Reds win it. A combined 2-hitter. They blank the Nationals in D.C. And the Reds take not only this game, but also the series. The road trip is off to a winning start. Their first series win in D.C. since 2015. And boy, did Sonny Gray set the tone tonight.
Well, he did. And this ball club that looked like they were sleepwalking during that last homestand have suddenly come to life. Led by pitching, Tyler Mahle the other night outduels Max Scherzer. You get Gray, who outduels Steven Strasburg tonight. I mean, taking care of business on the way to Chicago. That's the way this ought to go.
And aided by a strong effort from Suarez in the leadoff spot. We're back with more in a bit.